Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Chief right here, back with another one for you. It's almost Christmas time, the Mariah Carey's about to be blasting, all of that good stuff. It's December now, so I appreciate all of y'all for sticking with me up to this point. Had the channel for about 6 months, and I'm at 100 subscribers. So if you are a subscriber, thank you. I don't know why you want to hear what I got to say, but appreciate it. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. You know the drill. Hit that like and subscribe. Appreciate the support. Now for the video today. It's a real early video. It might be early. Might not. We know EA is probably working on the next game, but we're talking about college football 27. And, I'm in the Christmas spirit. A lot of people probably got their list out, ready to go for mom and dad, but this is my wish list for the next EA Sports college football game. Now, here's the deal. I got a lot of stuff on my list, so I'm actually going to break this up into 2 videos. This is part 1, and if you want to check out part 2, it will be linked at the end of the video. And, if you don't want to hear what I got to say in part 1, then that's fine. Just go click on part 2 for me, just to give me a little support. But here's the deal, y'all. So for part 1, what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the more general items that's not mode specific. So in this video, we're going to talk about like gameplay, presentation, UI type stuff. I don't want to go into super detail on Road to Glory and Dynasty until I get to the part 2 video, because I feel like those modes have enough detail in them to where we can do their own separate video. But I didn't want it to be too long. The video would be, an hour long if we sat here and talked about every single detail. So let's talk about it. Now, first thing is I want to touch on gameplay, animations, and physics, because I feel like just with any sports game, there's always going to be room for improvement on that type of stuff. But obviously, especially with EA Sports, EA has just got a terrible habit of just breaking things from year to year and just having these issues over and over and over again. So gameplay, it goes without saying, right? The physics can always be improved. The physics in 26 were not great to me. There was a lot of things that I enjoyed when they brought in, kind of these more recent iterations of Madden and college football. You could see like the locomotion. That might be an old school word. I don't know if they still call it that, but the locomotion with like the ball carriers was a lot better to me. But for some reason in 26, it felt like some of the like tackling animations weren't great. And I don't know how they broke that, but I don't remember the last time I've seen a really good hit stick animation. And there's just moments where you have guys just kind of bouncing off of the ball carrier for some reason. And I don't know what that's about. So they need to fix that. Like, that's one real pain point for me, because it feels like you can't even hit stick anymore. Like, not effectively, at least. So they need like smoother animation branching, because some of that stuff is just real weird looking. Like, I don't like that. So the animations definitely need some work. They need to kind of patch that. And this is where, a lot of people get frustrated, because College Football 25 would have been the perfect time to try out a new game engine, right? Like, they're still on Frostbite, just because, I guess it makes the transition between college football and Madden a lot more seamless. But with them coming back with college football, this would have been the perfect time to say, you know what, let's try out Unreal Engine, or let's try out something else. I don't know. I don't know all the different engines out there, but it's just, here they go with the same old, right? So I don't know, but they need a lot of improvements with the animations. I don't like them. Obviously blocking, blocking is self-explanatory. Blocking sucks. I don't care how many times they tell us built from the ground up, it needs to be improved. Defensive coverage, you have your players, they guard a patch of grass instead of guarding people that is in the patch of grass. It seems like they just kind of sit back and wait instead of actually attacking. Like, that kind of stuff is annoying, right? And then the ability to intercept passes. I got a video on this. If you want to check it out, go look at my page. You'll see, I got a video talking about how user interceptions feel weird. Like, they don't quite work like they used to. So it's just finding that balance because I felt like it was really, really good on 25. And it might have been too good. And on 26, it just feels like it wasn't good enough. So they just need to find that middle ground between 25 and 26. And I think it'll be solid. If they can improve that for 27, then it'll be pretty solid on that front. Now, for the next set of improvements on my wish list, I want to see some general UI improvements. Overall, I don't have a problem with the UI on college football or really any EA Sports game. I think one thing EA has always done well is have pretty solid, like straightforward menus that look, clean and crisp, but it's not too, clunky or weird. So I actually don't mind the UI. I think it's pretty good, but there are some improvements, like just some small tweaks that I think they can make that would make it a little bit more seamless. And it's really specific to like dynasty mode and just kind of like upgrading players. So that'll fall on the road to glory as well. But usually it's like, for example, when you upgrade players in dynasty mode, you put the like attributes one at a time. Like you have to like go in and say, okay, I want to upgrade his, tackling stats, right? So you go in and you upgrade that at one time, and then you have to hit X to like confirm, and then it gives you a little pop-up that says, okay, this has been upgraded, and then you have to do it again over and over and over again. And that's real cumbersome. Like that's just annoying. I don't, it's not that big a deal, but we should be able to just like put the stats where we want them, adjust them, move them around, and then do a final confirmation at the very end, and then get one pop-up at the end that says, okay, like this guy's been upgraded. Like I shouldn't have to go in every single time because it gets annoying after a while. You do that, 20 times per person, then you have to go in and get this pop-up every single time, which leads me to my next point. There's way too many pop-ups in this game in dynasty mode where you have to, see all those pop-ups when you upgrade players, but there's also the pop-ups that happen when you like break a record or something. Like you break a record, or if you get to the next week, and let's just say you got a player of the week on offense or defense, you got to see a pop-up every single time for all of that stuff. If you break a national passing yards record, it's going to tell you that you broke that record, the conference record, and the school record. And it's like, well, I already know that. I don't need to see a pop-up every single time. That's just wasted time. And that's something they didn't tweak between 25 and 26. So I would like to see it be a lot cleaner for 27. I don't need to see all these pop-ups over and over again. Just give me a summary page. It's nice that you pointed out, but I don't need that. Just give me a little summary page that tells me, here's what's happened. Here are the players of the week. Here's this, here's that. Because at this point, like, that's a waste of presentation. Like, I don't care that much. So I don't need all that. So that's just, general UI improvements. Real easy. Nothing crazy, I think overall, though, it's fine. Like, I don't really have a problem with the UI. I just definitely keep the, very simple look. I enjoy that, the modern look. But other than that, it's pretty good. Now, for the final part of this video, the part that I really am looking forward to in 27. Now, granted, keep in mind, I don't know if any of this stuff is going to make it into the game. This is just stuff that I want to see, okay? Presentation has to be improved. 25 and 26 was pretty much exactly the same, and I don't even understand how people can look and say, oh, presentation was greatly improved in 26, because it wasn't. I've had comments that said that, and that's just far, far from the truth. There's nothing different on 26 compared to 25 in terms of in-game presentation. But, we could do a side-by-side and show it, but it looks exactly the same. I do think that the commentary was better. I know Chris Fowler said that he was doing some, re-recording from 25 because he felt like he was a little bit bland on some of the commentary, which I would agree. 26 was much improved on the commentary side. But as far as the actual in-game graphics and presentation is concerned, 26 was identical to 25. Now, that being said, here are some of the things that I want to see in terms of presentation. Number one, I would love to see College Game Day. I feel like I think they used to have it in the really old games back on like PS2, PS3. I want to see that come back. I know it might take a little bit longer than just 1 year development cycle or, 9 months or whatever it is, to put that in. But that's something that would just add a little bit more immersion to the game. I'm all about immersion. So presentation doesn't bother me. If they want to do all the presentation in the world, I'm cool with that. I want it to look as close to Saturdays or, Sundays as possible. So I'm never going to get mad at more presentation. I would like to see a return of the ESPN presentation package. I think they still have the license, but they don't use it for some reason. And it used to be on the old games. And honestly, like the more I think about it, this is just more annoying because all I'm hearing myself say is things that we used to have. Like, how did we used to have all this stuff and then y'all just didn't put it in this one? And y'all had 4 years to work on this. Like, and now 5, and now we're going on 6. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. But anyway, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that in this game. But I want to see ESPN come back. I want to see it. I want to see the branding everywhere. Give me that branding on the score bug at the bottom. I need all of that, right? Um, I think the crowds and the sidelines need a little work. The crowd is better than older games. And I'm not trying to just compare to older games like nonstop, but it's hard to not to do that because they had a lot more detail, even though the technology wasn't as good as it is. It's weird, but the crowd is good in some moments, but then there's times when something will happen and they're just kind of dead. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just, certain things that have to trigger or they're just programmed for certain things, but they're okay from a noise perspective, but there are times when they just kind of sit there. So they need a little bit of work there. And then the sidelines don't really have much life to them. Like if you're running down the sideline, you don't see the sideline, your teammates on the side kind of running with you, getting excited or anything like that. So the sidelines definitely need a little bit more work. The crowd needs a little bit more work. But the atmosphere is there. Like the basis of it is there. It's just a matter of, in some of those exciting moments, I want to see something kind of happen for everything. Like if the ball's batted down or if there's, some small impactful play, like the crowd still needs to react. They can't just sit there. Even if, they don't have to go crazy for that stuff, but we need some sort of like constant, shifting dynamic environment, right? Dynamic weather would be cool. It's not a necessity. Like I don't have to have that because I hate playing in the rain. But it would be cool if it like started raining and then kind of like calmed down and maybe started again or, something like that. But here again, it doesn't have to be in the game. It's just something that would be a nice to have. The other thing is, I want to see a little bit more hype when records are broken. Like if the, career records for passing yards or rushing yards or something like that is broken. I need the commentators to really point that out. And I want to hear the crowd really excited when it happens. I need them to be aware that records are being broken or something like that, just to add a little bit more to the environment of the game. I mean, they did a decent job with the sights and sounds of the game and things like that, but it kind of falls off after a while. It kind of gets kind of bland, right? So definitely want to see a little bit more excitement in the game and a little bit more emotion around some of these big moments. The other thing is going back to kind of the presentation specific item. I want different presentation packages. Now, the cool part is they already have the different commentary teams, and that's been in since day one on College Football 25. So they already got that established. They already got the two teams, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and then they got, I think, Jesse Palmer and David Pollock, something like that. I can't remember the other team. I think that's who it is. But I want to see the presentation packages to go along with that. They do have a little bit different one on the national championship game. And it's just like, all right, cool. Right. But I would like to see that ESPN package back in there. I want to see some different generic type packages that actually give you a different feel. right? Because it's just the same field, doesn't matter what the game is. And we just need some different packages to really like freshen that up. Prime example is Madden. As much, crap as we give Madden, Madden actually set the stage with the different, commentary teams on 25, and then 26 came along and they actually added in the different packages. So now they got Monday Night Football, Thursday night, and, Sunday Night Football, plus the generic package. So they actually have like 4 different packages and it works. To me, it makes the game feel a little bit different, a little fresher. They got some different graphics on the screen. So I want to see that in college football. Everybody generally plays on the same day on Saturday, but you have different games. Big 10 game versus a Big 12 game is not necessarily going to look the same, right? And it might, but they're on different channels. We got ABC, we got ABC and ESPN is the same, but we've got these different channels. You can watch a football game on the SEC network, something like that. So I want to see something that kind of gives things a little bit different feel. You can have 3 different generic packages. I don't care. It doesn't necessarily have to be ESPN, but I just want something that gives the game a little bit more life, right? And then the last thing that I think is more of a nice to have, but something that I want to see specifically with the presentation package is I want to see some more camera cuts. Like I want to see more camera cuts and more, pre and post snap type of, those little cuts that you might see on TV. So like if you're going to the line, I don't want it to just stay in the same camera angle. Like I want to see them zoom in on a receiver while he's lining up, or I want to see him zoom in on the quarterback or the running back or whatever, or even a defensive player. Like that's fine, but zoom in on a superstar and then give me a graphic at the bottom of the screen that tells me his stats for the day. They'll do it as they're walking out to the field, but they don't really do it, consistently, right? Give me something in the middle of the game. They want to give you stats when you're choosing your play on a little screen at the top or something like that. And that's weird to me because that just kind of takes you out of the game. I don't want to see that. Give me the play selection screen. And when I pick my play and we go to lineup, then zoom in on the player. Tell me he's got 3 catches for 150 yards and 2 TDs. Give me that stat, or give me a cool stat that says, he's 3 away from, 3 touchdown catches from breaking the record or something. Like, but give me something that kind of makes it a little bit more immersive instead of the same bland package, right? And then, you think about like the, alignment introductions. They don't have any of that stuff. And I'm not saying you got to have a little graphic with somebody saying their name, but give me just a little lineup. Say this is the O-line for the offense. Give me something that says this is the D-line for the defense. They do have it, but it's not every single game. And it's very inconsistent. Like it's just, you might see it one game and then the next game, it'll just show you like, here's the Heisman candidate quarterback. And then you don't see anything about the line or any other receivers or anything like that. They might just show you like one little graphic with the impact players. And here again, all of this stuff is cool, but it just gets kind of stale after a while, in my opinion. So I just need to see that immersion overall. I want to see that kind of like souped up a little bit. I need to see a little bit more atmosphere. They got the introductions and that's cool, but it gets stale after a while because there's no variation from game to game. So, overall, these are my thoughts just outside of the game mode specific items. These are things that I would like to see from a gameplay perspective, UI perspective, and of course, presentation. I just want to see the game have a little bit more life to it and kind of improve on some of the things that they fell short on. But overall, of course, like usual, I want to hear what you guys think. Leave comments. Obviously, I didn't include every single thing, and there's plenty of stuff that I'm forgetting about. And then, some of the stuff, like, I just probably don't care about. But I do want to know if there's something that you think I forgot or that you would like to see in the game. Of course, leave a comment. And if you feel like it, leave that subscribe, But overall, I appreciate y'all watching. And if you want to know what I am looking forward to seeing in Road to Glory and Dynasty, click on part 2, which is linked at the end of this video for the rest of the wish list for college football 27. Appreciate you sticking around. Y'all take it easy.